So, the Commander Rules Committee has weighed in on the Walking Dead secret lair, and as you can imagine, after doing so, the result from the Magic community was a very civil discussion with no anger or name calling or I can't even, oh God, you guys know, let's do this. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here to continue what's been a week-long saga. I am one of the Walking Dead at this point, just trudging on down the road to talk more about this. Good Lord, has this Walking Dead event not pretty much eclipsed everything going on in Magic? Remember Monday? Do you guys remember Monday when the first part of Monday was rabble, 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 Uro, you're banning, you're not handling standard, rabble, rabble, rabble. And then all of a sudden the Walking Dead layer news started to creep out and everybody's like, that's what we're dealing with. So the Commander Rules Committee has weighed in. If you don't know what's going on, let's say you're somebody who has no clue about all this insane nonsense and drama, basically what's going on, Wizards of the Coast has made a brand new secret lair. It is themed to The Walking Dead. All of the cards in it only exist in these secret lairs. That's never happened before. Secret lairs have always been reprints. There's no other way to acquire these cards. They tie in a particular IP that falls outside of Magic. Mostly it's the scarcity and the fact that these are functionally unique that are making people have these sort of problems. But either way, the Rules Committee, the Commander Rules Committee, are the people in charge of determining what's banned in Commander and what's not. And a lot of players were asking and begging them to ban these cards to send a message to Wizards. So we are going to go through their announcement. I'm going to explain my thoughts on what's going on here, and then we'll talk a little bit about their predictable response to all of this. All right, so the announcement starts out by saying, we're not going to bury the lead here. We're not banning the cards from Secret Lair The Walking Dead. And that's when the chairs started flying into the walls, the hair started, people tearing their shirts apart. Stella! You know, like everything just go. Okay, so let's continue with the announcement. We understand that this won't sit well with some folks. Really? You wonder. We have spent a lot of the last few days listening to a wide variety of opinions, and we want to thank everyone for taking the time to share their thoughts. It was at times quite overwhelming. I imagine it would be. Let's be real. Most of the time, the Commander Committee is just, off doing their thing, chill, whatever. Occasionally they'll get together and be like, we got to deal with this one card. And when that happens, whenever the Commander Committee bans a card, there is always some level of uproar because there are people who are like, I can't believe you banned my favorite card. I hate you so much, man. You're my dad. You know, that kind of a reaction. But this scenario has been so vitriolic. It's absolutely insane. And I'm sure that part of it is exacerbated by the fact that we're all at home with not as much to do. So people have less things to do and things loom larger in their mind. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to think about? If you can't properly find work, you don't know if you're going to have enough money to pay your bills, you don't know if the economy is going to recover, and it feels to you like your world's collapsing around you, it's way easier to look at something like The Walking Dead and use that as a vent outlet where you go, oh my God, I'm so angry over this, like disproportionate rage. Watch yesterday's video if you don't know what I'm talking about for disproportionate. Oh my God, did I leave this chair in the background the whole time? I'm so professional. All right, I'm not even editing that. That's the level of effort that I put in here, all right? That's what you get. You got a little bit of bonus chair you didn't even pay for, okay? It's a bonus. It's like a hidden background item. Like, you know, in Rudy's videos where he's got like, I don't know, some like little goats and stuff on the shelf. Look, I'm invested in goats. So that's there. I've invested in chairs. Sit on it. Anyways, to get back, if you're wondering why I'm being a bit goofy, more than usual maybe, and going with the asides, watch yesterday's video. I'm trying to keep things from spiraling into realms of madness. People are really angry. So keeping it a little light feels like the way to go, my friends. All right? So let's continue with what's probably going to take me some time to get through this whole announcement. All right. So the point I was trying to make is people are heated. I can understand why this situation would be overwhelming. Having thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people probably coming and yelling at you. Yeah, actually, based on the number of people who signed the petition, we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, there's thousands of people at the very least who are like yelling at them in either direction. That's got to be pretty intense. I've dealt with like people coming at me and be like la, 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 in the comment section and stuff, but it's not on that level because I don't have any influence. Nobody's coming to me like, Mike, you've got to decide if all the cockroaches get fired into space. And it's like, load up the spaceship, buddy. Let's do it. You can't do that, man. I just finished my cockroach collection. Don't care. Send them to the moon. You know, like I don't have to deal with that. So they continue by saying, it's clear that this is an issue that many people are passionate about. Oh, you ain't kidding. Our decision doesn't reflect an endorsement of these cards, but what we believe is best for Commander in the long run. If you'd like to understand how we arrived at this decision, we encourage you to read on. Now, the sentence, our decision doesn't reflect an endorsement of these cards. Well, it's not directly an endorsement, but by not saying it's not okay, like anything that's not forbidden is permissible, basically. If you haven't been told, no, you can't do it, that's essentially a soft yes, right? That's how a bunch of people view it, and I view this as well, because let's be real, from Wizards' corporate perspective, anything other than like banning the cards equals keep doing what you're doing, man. You know what I mean? So there is that. Now, it says we identified 3 major concerns during the course of these discussions. One of these you guys may not be aware of, and it's genuinely a stupid concern. I'll go over that one and touch on how pointlessly dumb it is, because I agree with a bunch of people's concerns about this. One of these points is it's just abject stupidity. It is a sign of the times. It is a sign of people's hyper reactivity. Okay, so the 3 points that they are going to address is number 1, the availability of these cards is problematic. Yes, this is a major point. Number 2, the existence of non-magic IPs on cards should be discouraged. And number 3, Negan is a dubious character. Number 3 is perpetuated by a bunch of idiots on Twitter. I'm just going to call it what it is. The people who are saying this stuff are not smart people. Or if they are not acting smart. It's so stupid to me. Anyways, let's dive in. Oh, hold on. There's another paragraph before we dive in, I guess. There's no support in the Commander philosophy document for banning these cards. They certainly present no mechanical difficulties, and taken simply as cards don't come close to fitting any criteria we have for banning. However, as we're always seeking to improve the document, we discussed whether banning these cards could fit under new philosophical criteria, and whether using the ban list in this way was appropriate. I don't know if they actually go on any more about that. So let's address the first point, which is card availability. Now it says, a concern of many players is that these cards would not be widely available, and for some countries, only available through third-party sellers. They worry that this model will be repeated in the future. We've heard you loud and clear on this issue. Because the cards are mechanically unique, this is the major problem most folks have. We wish that all our friends around the globe had access to these cards. However, the Rules Committee of its own accord can't solve that problem. What we can do, what we already have done, is add our voice to yours. Okay. What we have done is add our voice to yours. Since this issue broke, we've been in contact with well-placed people at Wizards of the Coast to make sure that they understand your displeasure and where it comes from, as well as urging they work towards a solution. This is meaningless. Them going, you know, we told Wizards this ain't okay. It doesn't mean anything. The only way to tell Wizards that this isn't okay is to actually say you can't use these in Commander. But they're not going to do that. And we'll go more into depth about why they're not going to do it. Let me do them the courtesy of going through everything they have to say before I give my full, like, okay, whatever, pal, sort of response. All right? So, while we understand people are concerned about limited availability, we don't believe that the problem applies to Commander in the same way it does to tournament formats. Successful tournament formats require generally equal and complete access to cards, but one of the themes that we've reiterated since the earliest days of the format is that you don't need access to every card in order to have fun playing Commander. The focus of Commander being on non-tournament play plus the enormous card pool availability where almost everything goes, means that unique cards floating around don't present the same kind of problem. The stakes in a Commander game is the fun of the participants, and that doesn't require all of the cards. See, now this one is interesting to me because as far as I understand, and I could be incorrect about this, but as far as I understand, they've banned all the moxes and things like that in Commander because of accessibility issues, right? Like in Commander, a mox isn't as strong as a Sol Ring. Sol Ring is one of the most powerful cards, right? So it's not a power level thing, as far as I understand. It's not everybody can get access to the moxes, so we made them inaccessible. And so if that's the case, then how does that same logic not apply here, right? Anyways, a problem we see with adopting a ban philosophy based on card availability is explaining it down the road. If a year from now someone stumbles across a copy of one of these cards, tries to use it and discovers it's banned in Commander, they will ask why. Wouldn't that happen with any card that you come across that's banned in Commander? Like, what about moxes or something like that? Oh, I stumbled on a mox. Like, how are you going to stumble on these things when they're going to be pretty scarce, right? Like, that's weird to me. I don't know. They'll ask why, and then if the explanation is unsatisfactory, people didn't like how they were allocated. This does not make a lot. I like how they say people didn't like how they were allocated, instead of the response that they would actually get, where somebody would go more in depth and go, Wizards of the Coast made functionally unique cards you could only buy for a week, specifically targeting Commander players in an attempt to extract as much cash as possible with no concern for how it would impact the format. But instead, that's how somebody's going to respond. If somebody goes, why can't I use my Walking Dead cards? Allocation! Nobody's going to put it that way. So that word choice, it seems like, hey, you know what, maybe if we word it this way. Like, I have a problem with this announcement. This does not make a lot of sense to the person who's holding the card. Yeah, you're right. But if somebody explained it in depth, it might make more sense. And they might go, oh, that actually makes perfect sense. Why are the moxes banned? Whatever, man. It's all good. Let's keep it light. I'm starting to get a little, it's all good, man. It's all good. All right. Let us continue. So it says, this doesn't make a lot of sense to the person who's holding the card and who doesn't own many other cards that may be out of reach for them. So now they're adding an extra layer to the scenario where it's not only do you say this person is just about allocation, it's like they don't own many rare cards and this is one of the rare cards they can't play with. So we definitely need to let this happen. That doesn't fly for me, man. That does not have wings. We want people to be able to play the cards they own and only resort to bans when it's problematic for the health of the format, not the wider ecosystem. So you want to deal with something when it's a problem for the health of the game, but not when it bothers everybody who plays the game? Like that, like what does the wider ecosystem even mean? What does that wording mean? Does that just mean Commander players? Like if I change the wording to, we only want to resort to bans when it's problematic for the health of the game, not for the Commander players. Because that's what it reads like to me. Wider ecosystem? Is that a very cloaked way of saying, we don't want to impact Wizard sales because, I mean, I did a video a couple days ago talking about how this situation is going to lead to huge problems for the Commander Committee. And I mean, go watch that video if you want to know all my thoughts on it. But this to me speaks of, we don't want to upset Wizards. These cards are in no way a threat to the health of Commander. In fact, we see it as just the opposite. We're the only format that could bear the weight of this kind of experimentation. Wow. Applause. We're the only place where this sort of grand experiment can take place. We're the only ones strong enough and healthy enough to happen. We're lucky to get to have this environment where Wizards shows a blatant disregard for us. Isn't that lovely, fellow Commander players? Isn't that lovely, wider ecosystem? Good Lord. Good Lord. Oh, God. This is the format in which Crab Tribal is just as valid as Blood Pod. Adding a few quirky cards that aren't ubiquitously available doesn't threaten that. You're not even going to acknowledge the fact that this is just the first one. Like, there are going to be a bunch more of these. There's no doubt about it, especially now that there has been zero resistance. Don't fool yourself. You yelling and doing whatever doesn't mean anything. The Commander Committee doing something would have meant something. Because It's almost like they speak for the ecosystem or the games. Oh, it's almost like they have more influence and they try and pretend that they have. All right, so one of the calls from the community was that we should ban these cards to send a signal to Wizards of the Coast for a blatantly commercial act. Yeah, I like how it goes, blatantly commercial act, and you go, what's wrong with the company having commercial acts? Instead of going, this is an egregious attempt to basically bilk the customers hardcore. It's basic, it's just a business trying to business and we have no right to interject. It's like, come on, guys, come on. So it continues. First of all, we don't think it's appropriate to tell them how to run their business. Really, I want to make sure that I understand this correctly. We're all customers of this game. We're all players of this game. And you don't believe it's appropriate to tell them how to run your business. But then you've also said that you've added your voice to ours. Huh, weird. If we're telling the company how to run their business, and you're adding your voice to ours, then wouldn't that mean you're using your voice to tell the company what to do? But no, here you're we can't tell you how to run your business. Of course, if you're a customer of a company, you can go, hey, yeah, you know what? This is how I want you to run your business. I would like this. Do they have to listen? No. Is it appropriate for customers to tell the company making what they want? Yes. Is it appropriate for a group that represents a whole load of customers in an entire format, which is the biggest, healthiest format that can bear this weight, to not tell them what to do at all? Are you, what? That's way outside the scope of our charter. You gotta be there. They are dancing. They are dancing on very thin ice, because it's gonna go one way or the other with this, right? Again, I say, go watch my video about that. I'm gonna try and avoid talking about it too much in here. But yeah, anyways, this is, second, the ban list isn't the appropriate vehicle to voice our displeasure over something, nor is using it as punishment. It's not punishment to say this product is unacceptable. That's not punishment. You're not like, we shouldn't punish Wizards or tell them how to run their business. Whatever they make should just be allowed. Like, you have no problem banning cards that are a problem for the format, right? You've just narrowly defined what is a problem for the format. Tens of thousands of people who play the format come forth and say something. It's not our place. It's not our place to do this, right? Okay? The ban list is an abstract construct to corporate decision makers. Think about that for a second. The banned list is an abstract construct to corporate decision makers. So the highest level of Magic don't, like, the upper management don't care about or don't understand really the concept of banned lists and their impacts. If banning was really, really abstract, then it couldn't really matter to products, right? And you wouldn't be afraid to ban these because it would have no impact, because banning would just be this abstract thing to upper level management. You know what this reads to, like me? This reads to me like, I don't know. Do some of the people on the rules committee legitimately work for Wizards of the Coast and draw a paycheck from them or something? Because this really, really feels like corporate shielding speak from somebody who's got something they need to protect. That's how it's coming across to me. I could be wrong, but I'm definitely getting the vibe that this is written by somebody who is getting paid by Wizards of the Coast. Not paid to do this, but just like subconscious bias, not consciously biased, where I'm not saying somebody is an abject shill for Wizards. That's not what I think. I think that the Commander Committee ultimately want what's best for Commander and have been put in a tough space. But I think between the fact that Wizards could just take the ban list away and go, no, we're doing it now, right? We talked about that. They could do, between that and the fact that some of these people are probably getting paid by Wizards of the Coast, there's going to be the subconscious desire to minimize anything negative that they're doing. This is like, they're aware of the corporation upper level management, and that if they step too far out of line, things are going to go poorly for them. They're only as free as Wizards will allow them to be on their leash. I don't believe that the Commander Committee is an independent organization, and I don't genuinely believe, after reading this announcement, that they have the best interest of the players in mind at the absolute top. I think it's somewhere down here, and right up here, even if they won't admit it, is maintaining that relationship with Wizards of the Coast. That's what I think. That's my opinion. All right, so to continue, let's see what it says here. Finally, oh wait, no, sorry. The corporate decision makers is where I left off. The right path to walk is the one we've gone down. Real change happens from having real conversations with real people, which we've been doing since the news broke. Well, what is it? What is it? Is it not appropriate to tell Wizards of the Coast how to run their business? Or have you been having discussions with them all along, telling them how to run their business? It feels like blatantly contradicting in the same paragraph. Like, what? All right. All right. Finally, attempting to send such a signal would be doomed to failure. This is the committee admitting they have no genuine power. It's doomed to failure. It will not have the effect that people hope. What effect would it have then? What effect? Are they going to go into that? The primary goal of these cards is almost certainly new player acquisition. Wizards hopes to lure some Walking Dead fans into Magic, and any interest from Commander players is just a small bonus. As a Commander player, you don't matter in this decision. Wizards won't listen to us. It's not our place to tell them what to do with their business. And even if we did everything you want, it wouldn't do anything. They know. Go watch, if you haven't watched it, go watch my video saying that the Commander Committee is going to get shut down, okay? Because it will explain the two different scenarios that are the outcome of this. And this article is the embodiment of what I'm talking about. And I genuinely feel bad for Commander players who felt like the Rules Committee really had their back. Because from reading this, it literally is saying, these cards aren't even for Commander players. It's just a small bonus. You shouldn't care about it. We can't tell them what to do. Basically, they're just telling you, shut up. Shut your stupid mouth. We added our voices to yours. By the way, you can't tell them anything to do with their business. All right, then. So, it continues that banning the cards until functional reprints are available doesn't do much either. Now, let's move on to the non-Magic IP category. Some folks simply don't like the idea of The Walking Dead crossing over into a Magic Modern IP, breaking the immersion barrier. I can understand that, although I feel like Secret Lair is a perfectly fine place to do crossovers. That part is not an issue for me. I'm not into The Walking Dead, but if Wizards is going to do things that don't fall into the swords and sorcery style fantasy that Magic normally is, Secret Lair is a great place for those. That's great. There's no problem with that. So, they continue. We understand that feeling. None of us care at all about The Walking Dead, but also realize that almost everyone has some universe for which they've dreamed of having Magic cards. This is true. I don't care about a Walking Dead Secret Lair, but if they made like a Zelda, a Legend of Zelda Secret Lair, I'd be tripping over myself to get 10 of them. Oh my God! You know what I mean? So I recognize that aspect as well. Now, what does it say next? We don't think it's productive to try and gatekeep that. I agree. If you dislike it, we support you not playing with the cards. Introduction of a different IP opens Commander to audiences who might have never heard of Magic or the format. We welcome the new friends we haven't met yet, in brackets, so we can disregard your voice. Okay, now let's get to the Negan thing. All right, you might have noticed a little edit there, and that's because I swore accidentally when I got to the Negan thing because how stupid I think it is, like legitimately. So I had to cut the video for a second. All right, we're gonna talk about this dumb Negan nonsense. All right, so we've also heard some displeasure over the Negan character being on a card, given his, in brackets, fictional, which is a good point. I'm with the Commander Committee on this one. Given his fictional history of terrible actions, all right, we're sympathetic to this and did give some consideration to banning just that card. We chose not to because Negan's a villain, plain and simple. Oh, there's no implied endorsement, sanitation, or glorification of his actions. In that, he's no different than other villains already in the Magic universe, even though as portrayed by an actor, it seems closer to real world. No one is suggesting that by putting him on a card, he should be idealized, any more so than Nicol Bolas or Yawgmoth. We will use this as an opportunity to remind each other to respect other players' boundaries. Being empathetic and accommodating is vital to a healthy gaming community. Being considerate of other players makes us all better. I agree that a certain level of consideration is reasonable, but if somebody gets, like, if I had this Negan card and I played it and somebody went, he's a bad person in that show, I'd be like, you're not prepared to live life. You're not an adult with adult functioning capabilities. Like, there's people on Twitter who are literally going off, they made a Negan card, it's this and this and this, and people are coming back and going, actually, like this thing that you're pointing out, the character's directly against that and punishes his own men for doing those sort of things. So you're kind of off base. It's fine to have villainous cards. It's fine to have villains. Like they said, they're not glorifying it. They're not going, he's amazing and you should be like him. Go get a baseball bat and whack people with it. You know, like they're not saying that at all. So the outrage over Negan specifically is brain damaged. It's getting upset for getting upset's sake. And we already have enough of getting upset over everything and anything, okay? It's we're living in crazy times. All right. So, in conclusion, the community outcry over these cards did not go unheard. It sure probably feels like it does. We used our relationship with people inside Wizards of the Coast to have an honest conversation about how and why so many of you felt betrayed by this process. But I thought you couldn't tell them how to run their business. All right? You can't tell them that. That's if you tell them people are unhappy with what they're doing, aren't you telling them how to run their business? Silly. One of the outcomes of that conversation is that they were supportive of whatever decision we made. Yeah, of course they were supportive of whatever decision you made. They're not going to tell you that if you ban it, we're going to yank you. You're done. We're just going to end you as a committee to keep making these. They knew. It was unspoken. Wizards of the Coast isn't the kind of company that's going to go, hey, do what we want or we'll get rid of you. They're the kind of company that'll use you until you're no good and huck you under the bus without saying, just boom. Oh yeah, we've decided that we care so much about Commander that we want to take a more hands-on approach to the rules and ensure that Magic players are getting the experience that they deserve, curated by professionals. All this kind of nonsense, right? And then all of a sudden, Rules Committee's gone. I went into depth about that. But anyways, they know. They know. We believe that this conversation has had influence. Do you now? But I thought you couldn't tell them how to run their business. Interesting. Interesting. So, they had influence, and they clearly understand the concerns. Will they do anything about the concerns? Here, put on the timer. Do, 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 do. This is where you answer yourself. Do, 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 bum, ba, da, da, da. It's like Jeopardy. What is no? That's the answer. They are not going to give a single care about those concerns because the stuff's still going to sell and they're going to make more. This is just the beginning. I said it previous videos before, but now that the Commander Committee has ruled in, I can fully tell you, get ready. This is just the first of many of these that we are going to see. So it says, thank you to everyone who's weighed in with their thoughts. We tried very hard to keep up with all of them, even as the Discord became overwhelming. There was a petition signed by almost 30,000 people demanding that the Commander Committee ban these. Like, there's so many people who are against this, and there are definitely people who are for it. The against voices are very loud. This is another blow to the credibility of the Rules Committee's independent nature. Personally, I already looked at them as essentially at least half under Wizards' thumb, and this just proves that they are never going to stand up for you against Wizards. Don't expect it. They'll manage the ban list for you to play Commander, but they will never have your back against Wizards because they can't. It will be the end of them. All right? So, I mean, the players are angry. You can see a whole bunch of responses where most people are like, dude, forget it. I'm so done with you guys. This is not okay. Varying levels of rage and disappointment over this. This is actually the most riled up I have ever seen the Commander community. Anytime. But, you know what? I've been here long enough just kind of yammering on about all this, trying to keep it light. I know at some points I got a little heavier, but whatever, guys. Remember, at the end of the day, it's just a game with cardboard rectangles. Get upset if you want, but remember, like, they are just cardboard rectangles. This is just a honey mammoth, don't worry. You know, like, that's just to give... I remember at the game store I used to go to, when people started to get really, really heated in the back, the owner of the store would come back with a pair of scissors and a card that mattered. He didn't do what I did and just went like, of some jank card, because that's all I'll do. I'm not ripping up valuable cards. He would bring dual lands back to the back of the store, cut them in half with people. That got their attention. Like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, they're just cards, boys. They're just cards. So at the end of the day, no matter how upset you get, remember, my friends, they're just cards. They're just cards. All right? So, thanks for coming by. If you like what I'm doing, like, comment, subscribe. If you made it all the way through this crazy long video, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, I've got a Magic Lore channel where amazing Magic Lore is coming. I got some glorious merch. If you want to buy some of my merch to perch upon your body. Other than that, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys for tonight's live stream. And for those of you who aren't showing up tonight, I will see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, go watch more of my videos.